So today we're going to go over inequalities. Now these are two of the major inequality signs. Pause the video and think about how these are different. Fantastic. Hopefully you noticed that one of them's got an underline under it. And this means for this particular inequality, it is going to be including the number itself. I'll show you an actual example. This is called greater than. This is because the number on the left will be greater than the number on the right. And this one is called greater than or equal to. So for example, if x is greater than 4, x is going to be any number bigger than 4. So it could be 4.1, 4.2, 4.5, 4.7, 5, 7, 8. But if it was a whole number, it could only be 5 and above. Whereas for this one, x is greater than or equal to 3. It can be equal to 3 and anything else more. So please make the clear differentiation. What I'd like you to do now is in your books, write a summary of what this means, greater than and greater than or equal to, and maybe write down these examples here. If you are a visual learner, it might be beneficial to draw the crocodile mouth. Please pause the video now. Welcome back. So let's go over some more specific examples. So we already said that if x is a whole number, it can only be 5, 6, 7 or any other number larger than this. And that works the same for x is greater than or equal to 3. It's got to be 4, 5, 6 or it could also be 3. What I'd like you to do now is for each of these examples, pause the video and write down 5 possible numbers that could be bigger than each of these. Great, hopefully you've completed that task. Now, in a similar manner, if the inequalities are turned around, it's going to be less than and less than or equal to. These work in exactly the same way, apart from we're thinking about numbers being smaller than the given number. So x is smaller than the given number. X is less than 7. And this one, x is less than or equal to 2. So it can be 2, 1 or anything smaller than those numbers. Can you now pause the video and make some notes on this? Fantastic. Well done for working so hard. We're now going to go on to some other kinds of questions. If you're still not quite grasping this concept, you can have a go at these questions here. So we need to write down any number less than 10. But I think for this kind of class, you're going to be okay with this and we can move on from this activity. But if you are indeed struggling, please have a go at this activity and contact me in the ways I've mentioned. Now, for this one, we know that x is going to be specifically between 9 and 15. So the numbers it could be would be 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. That's quite clear. It's got to be bigger than 9, but it's got to be smaller than 15. So these are the possible numbers it could be. Now you may have noticed we have done similar concepts before in class, but it's always worth reviewing these ideas. And also a really common mistake children make is that the inequality signs are often written the wrong way around. Remember that the inequality signs normally have the base of the mouth here and the big part of the mouth here, and they're always facing the same direction. Don't have them both facing the x, and that's a key point I want you to think about when focusing on inequalities. This one's a little bit different because it's got to include 26. So the numbers it could be are going to be 24, 25 and 26. And again, this is a bit more of an unusual way to write it, but both the inequalities are facing the same way, which is what I'd expect. But normally you'd write the smallest number on the left-hand side. Now have a go at these questions on the left-hand side and pause the video. Welcome back. Hopefully you got these answers. Now we're going to actually move on to solving inequalities. So we've done this kind of system before, and I'm going to go straight to it. So the kind of questions we want to specifically focus on today are going to be on the following slides. But there is one caveat you need to be careful with, and that is with negatives. So when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, the inequality signs swaps around. This is a really important point that doesn't actually affect solving equations, but it does affect solving inequalities. The same thing happens with equal signs, only it makes no difference. So what I'd like you to do is copy everything above the red line in your book and make a really clear point of this. So stop the video again and copy this down. So we're going to have a go at solving this particular inequality, and you're going to see why this rule exists and how it's going to affect the answer. So the first thing we can do is we could get x on its own. So I'm going to say we're going to subtract 13 from both sides. Fantastic. And now we're going to divide by -3. Now can you pause the video and work out what has happened here? Fantastic. Hopefully you notice that we flipped the inequality sign. Also, when you divide by -3, the reason why we've done this is because the sign in front of the 3 is a minus. So to get this to be a positive 1, we had to divide by -3. And when you divide by a negative number, not only does the number change, in this instance it gets smaller in terms of the numerical value, but also the negatives combine to make it positive. We're now going to go over an alternative method. I think most of you will prefer this. Now looking at the equation, we're going to have a look at -3x. Now for most of you, I encourage you to move this straight away because it's a slight problem and you don't have to then divide by a negative number at the end. So the first thing we're going to do is move the negative onto the right hand side, which means we have to plus 3x. Now we have to subtract 7 and then finally divide by 3. So you can see we have the same answer, x is less than 2. But I prefer method 2 personally, so I think you will too. But you choose which one's best for you and please copy one of these down. So these two will also give you the red options. And what I want you to do is to try these questions and make sure you get to the red option.